Well, Michelle, it's really nice to catch up with you. Gosh, so you had just finished leading KPMG in the UK's tax practice, and now you're here in the United States leading a team of UK professionals, helping our clients with cross-border matters. Must be a challenging time with COVID, huh?
Absolutely. Really good to see you, Rodney. Yeah, it's pretty challenging. Crossing a border permanently to live has told me how difficult COVID is in that respect. So yeah, I totally sympathise with people working in the current environment. But hopefully, with the vaccine, we will free up soon.
It's coming. Well, so now that you're here in the United States, as you talk to clients and future clients, what are the things that you hear the most about that people are talking about?
So where I'm seeing some real challenges, if you think about our personal lives, which I don't know about yours, but mine are slowed to a virtual halt, but it's totally the opposite for business, isn't it? So digital transformation, which we've been seeing for a while and we've been grappling for a while, has really taken over, and we've seen some quite big business failures actually in the UK of businesses that haven't gone online as quickly as they might have done. So that whole digital transformation piece and then the framework for chief tax officers, the tax framework that they're working within, it puts even more of a spotlight onto OECD changes and US engagement in that. So I would say that digital transformation is one of the biggest things that they're dealing with.
That's interesting because, again, it must be a big thing to grapple with while grappling with the remote workforce, right? What other things are people talking to you about?
And I guess the other big thing also is geopolitical, isn't it? So Biden coming in, just about having a majority, a very thin majority, Brexit happening with, albeit quite a skinny agreement right at the last minute on Christmas Eve, and just generally across the world, every country is going to have its COVID rescue and recovery plan, isn't it? And that's going to need to be paid for. So there's I feel like there's just more disruption now than there has been in my whole career, actually, and it sort of feels a bit like a perfect storm, and that's what we are all dealing with our clients.
Yeah, and you mentioned Brexit, so I'm really interested in what you're talking to people about as to, how is that causing people to evaluate parts of their supply chain? Is there much discussion on that?
Yes, I mean that's by far the biggest part of it, and in the very short term, and I work with a lot of consumer businesses, and so in the very short term, it is honestly about getting product across border, actually getting it across border. I work for a big supermarket group, and as they said, they can't put lettuces in bond for 3 weeks. So there is that very short term. How do I work with paperwork and actually the cost of tariffs and so forth? But in the longer term, I think there's two aspects to it. I think there is the one around supply chains. There is no doubt that people are looking at their supply chains, and it's not just Brexit, is it? It's various trade agreements that are happening worldwide, and now is the time to look at them. So that is going on, and particularly with direct tax complexity, that starts to be more of the conversation. The other conversation, funnily enough, I'm having on Brexit is just to sort of remind people that it may not be what many people wanted or voted for, but it isn't the end of the world. I mean, the UK is situated quite nicely in the Atlantic, isn't it, between mainland Europe and the US. The time zones are pretty good. I used to say we all speak the same language, but I've discovered there is a bit of a bit of a language barrier, and sometimes we are divided by a common language. And actually, London remains a financial centre and a worldwide legal centre. It's got participation exemptions and so forth, so it's still a very attractive place to invest. So it's not the end of the world, but there is no doubt there are some short-term complexities, and longer term, as you say, people are looking at their supply chains worldwide.
That's an interesting point you make. It's more than just the topic of the day. It's how strategically it fits into your long-term business plan.
Yeah.
And then you and I were talking yesterday about my discussion with one of our US partners, Chetan, about legal entity rationalization. I'm just curious, is that a theme that you hear much about too?
Yeah. I think during COVID, I'm sure I'm not the only one. I know I'm not. Where I've taken the opportunity to do quite a lot of spring cleaning and so forth around the house, and I think that is actually happening in a business way as well. You know, I mean, and it's not funny, is it? There is a perfect storm, which is more tax complexity combined with tax authorities having an awful lot more information. They are much more digitally enabled than they have ever been, and we know, you know, the UK is my stomping ground, and we know that HMRC has been taking a lot of cases where they have got some really good data, and so the clients I'm talking to are really catching up with their data and trying to get their data up to date, making sure that they've got the right data at the right time. So there's a lot of talk about the technology tools, the great technology tools that you know that we've got in KPMG, helping them with that. And legal entities is a part of that, right? Isn't it? It's one of those things that's been number 2, 3, 5, 50 on people's to-do list, and it's really come up the to-do list, both in terms of the need to do it now, but also it is easier to do now that we've got technology tools to help people with legal entity rationalisation. So that's, although it's been, as I say, in the back burner for years and years, I'm seeing that really moving up the list of priorities.
Well, I can only imagine, Michelle, this is keeping you, notwithstanding COVID, keeping you super busy, because we can all do this remotely, just to your point about technology earlier on. Not to put you on the spot, but if you were to think about one thing that you would share with folk that comes up the most, and one piece of, you know, commentary you might have on that, what might that one thing be?
Gosh, that's a really broad question. I think that the thing personally that I found is that I've always thought I was quite disciplined, but honestly, until COVID hit and the last year of working from home, I've really valued becoming much more disciplined about staying in touch with people and actually, you know, looking after myself more. So I've got to say, when I work with clients, and it's clients I've worked for years with, I feel we've got almost a closer connection because we can easily pick up on calls and so forth. But equally, yeah, it can take over your life. So going for that walk and keeping myself playing the piano every so often, keeping myself, you know, doing other things than work has been a godsend, frankly.
Well, that is a great piece of advice, because, you know, there's more to life than tax. So, Michelle, I'm really looking forward to.
Well, that's not completely true, is it, Rodney? But
well,
let's pretend.
of course not. But it's really nice seeing you again. I look forward to catching up with you in person in the DC area when, you know, travel becomes a lot easier. So thank you for your time, Michelle.
Yeah. Great. Thank you, Rodney. I appreciate it.